Hello and welcome to Powered Up Festival, hosted and organised by Ideas Powered. I'm Steve, and throughout this month, we're going to be bringing you stream sessions just like this one, which are all designed to try and help you guys to power and protect your original ideas. So, today we are getting creative with code, and we're being joined by Irish tech entrepreneur and self taught programmer Jordan Casey. Let me bring in Jordan now. So, first off, don't be fooled by Jordan's youthful appearance because he's got over a decade of experience working in the tech world. He's worked on projects with the likes of Google, Facebook, and even Real Madrid, I believe. So, we're very privileged to have Jordan here. Jordan, welcome to Powered Up Festival. How are you doing?
Good, thanks. Thanks so much, Steve. Yeah, really happy to be involved. Very excited.
Great stuff. I'm going to dive straight in. So, a lot of our community and viewers will be in a position now that you were in quite a while ago. So, take us back to your bedroom when you were around 9 years old, I believe it's when you started to learn how to program. Apparently, you launched your first app when you were 11. So, how do you get into the mindset of becoming one of the youngest tech entrepreneurs in the world when you're just nine? How did that start?
Yeah. It's a really fun story. And it's mad to think how long ago it's been now. I'm 21 now, so yeah, like 11 years. But yeah, I guess for me growing up, it was always sort of a thing for me to like to make things. I really enjoyed making things, and I was really lucky to feel as though I had sort of an entrepreneurial mindset. So whether it be selling my old toys or selling these cardboard creations or even selling karate lessons to people when I had no idea about karate, I was always interested in that sort of business mindset and being an entrepreneur. And yeah, so that was one sort of aspect of growing up. But then other than that, I was really interested in video games, like obsessed. And I was also really interested in taking them apart. I remember when I was 7 years old, I took apart a PlayStation 2 and unfortunately wasn't able to put it back together. But yeah, I just feel I was always very curious, particularly around games. And then at the age of 9 years old, I used to play a game called Club Penguin, which some people might remember. It's this online virtual world where these little penguin characters go around and talk to each other and play games. And so I was fascinated with this game for a number of years. But what also really fascinated me was the community behind it. There was a number of users that were creating their own websites and blogs surrounding their own Club Penguin characters with like news and cheats. And this was something that I was really interested in, and I was really interested to see how these people, the same age as me, were able to make their own websites and many times their own games. And I was really interested in seeing how that worked. And so asked a couple of people in the community how they made their websites. I stumbled across HTML, which is the markup language that pretty much controls the entire internet and the web. And I just started reading books, watching videos on YouTube, became really interested in it. Um, Taught myself how to build my own website, launch my own website, did that for a couple of years. And then after a couple of years doing that, again being curious, I decided to look into how to make my own game. And with research and again just watching videos on YouTube, forcing my parents to buy me constant books, I stumbled across Apple's developer kit and developed my first game at the age of 12, which was called Alien Ball versus Humans, which to me was an experimental hobby. It was like this crude version of Space Invaders, and I decided to share it, so I uploaded it to the iOS App Store, and madly to me, I became the youngest iOS app developer in Europe, and this all sort of blew up for me. And so since then, I've been really lucky to have had so many opportunities from that. I'm so lucky that I feel as though I've known what I wanted to do for such a long time that I've been able to sort of capitalize on that. And so now I just spend a lot of time doing exactly what I wanted to do and also promoting the fact and sharing my story.
It's amazing. I think like curiosity is the key word that comes out of that, isn't it? It's just if you've got an interest in something, it's worth digging into it a bit further, and you never really know where it's going to go.
Yeah.
But I know that one of the things that happened to you quite early on in those days is you had a bit of an issue because obviously we're here talking about powering and protecting ideas, but particularly in terms of protection, you had a bit of an issue with intellectual property rights, didn't you, back in the day? What happened there?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess when I started off at the age of 12 doing all of the sort of business side of things, I was slightly naive and I was getting a lot of opportunities thrown at me from so many different angles. And one of the ideas that I had at the time was to create an award ceremony for young people like me, young creators, artists, video game designers, developers, and sort of reward them on their achievements. And so I put this out to the world without having any knowledge of intellectual property or protecting myself, and I received interest from a pretty large investor, an entrepreneur, to come on board, and pretty much promised the earth, moon, and stars to me. And again, being so naive, never really looking into any sort of protection for myself, shared my entire idea, entered into all these agreements, and then out of nowhere, did not hear from this person for like a very long time, only to see that they had taken my entire idea, promoted it under a new brand, but pretty much the exact same format that I'd written out and worked on for so long. And yeah, it was a pretty damning lesson at such a young age to see one of my ideas do well, but obviously get no accreditation for. And ever since then, I've been really like interested in intellectual property and learning. And obviously, I've been involved with the Ideas Powered movement for a number of years now. So it's been really fascinating over the past few years to learn and to hear all these interesting stories and to take what I've learned with Ideas Powered and to share it and also use it in my own work as well, which has been great.
I guess if any good can come out of a situation like that, it's a benefit in many ways that you were so young when it happened, because then you can learn from it before it's too late, if you like. At least it was one of your earlier ideas, that once bitten, twice shy kind of approach, that now you're a lot more wary of the need to protect things from the word go.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that's 100% correct. And ever since then, any business I've started, I've always made sure to protect myself and get the necessary registrations and copyrights with legal representation. And yeah, definitely, it's been a very eye-opening experience at a young age. Maybe I didn't feel that at the time. I obviously was quite hurt, but looking back on it now, it's yeah, I am quite happy that it happened at such a young age. Yeah.
Well, it links in nicely. I wanted to talk to you about youth empowerment, because I know that it's something that's quite close to your heart, and the fact that you're never too young to give it a go, and younger people have a lot to give, especially in the tech world. So, why is it so important to you that younger people do get involved in coding, especially when the tech world is kind of such a difficult area to get into? Um,
Yeah.
is it hard, and what are the benefits for younger people looking to get into it?
Yeah, I definitely think it's something that's really important to me. I think having any sort of tech literacy or programming skills or even just entrepreneurial skills in general can be extremely beneficial. Not necessarily if you're working directly in programming, but I feel like a lot of the skills and understandings you gain can be applied to so many different industries. But for me, starting out um, in 2011, 2012. I was probably one of the very few sort of emerging at that point, and as a result of that, it was quite hard to be taken seriously because of my age, I felt. So, in instances when I looked for mentorship, or even if I looked for investment in my ideas, I felt I was at a sort of immediate disadvantage due to my age. And it's been something that I've been really passionate about ever since, and something that I really wanted to promote. And again, I am quite lucky to have the platform I have. I think I am one of the lucky ones, and I'm also extremely lucky that I kind of known what I wanted to do at a young age. But I feel like there are quite a few people out there that might be intimidated that because of their age, something mightn't be attainable or achievable, or it can happen a few years time. And I really try to sort of promote myself in that instance. Whereas if I had pushed a couple of years later, I probably wouldn't even have got to the stage where I am now in years time. Or I always sort of acted as though age was just a number for me, and I'm very lucky to have achieved everything I've achieved thus far. And yeah, there's a lot of advantages for doing it at a young age. I did mention it is quite hard to be taken seriously, and opportunities might be limited. And also, balancing with school was quite difficult, especially doing big exams. But the advantages are clear to see. I feel like I'm very lucky to have had a head start on other people my age because I pursued what I wanted to pursue. The opportunities I've had because of my age, like I've definitely not kidding myself where my age came in advantages, where I was able to speak at different conferences around the world and promote myself there. Yeah, so it's been an amazing opportunity for me, and I feel as though where I hope to achieve in the next few years, I wouldn't be able to sort of reach that if I hadn't started so young. And I definitely try to promote that. I think young people and people in this generation, we are so lucky with the tools that we have in front of us. I use this story quite a bit that if I wanted to create a game 40, 50 years ago, even 30 years ago, I would have had to build it on a big clunky computer and have to read tons of manuals. And then I would have had to pursue a video game publisher, and then I would have had to get it developed and put on shelves. Whereas today, if I want to create a game, I have access to millions of free resources online, huge communities where I can ask for help and advice, and I can reach an audience of potentially a billion people with the click of a button with online distribution. And I think that applies not only to gaming, but anyone interested in music who wants to release their own music or video creation and film creation. And so, yeah, I think we are actually quite lucky, young people in the time we live right now. And also, I think finally, I think yeah, we're quite fearless as well. That's something I've definitely found out. I feel like older people, and I've noticed this in school and university. Technology can be quite intimidating, or I think learning new things can be sometimes intimidating. Even now, getting just a little bit older, I'm definitely not as fearless as I once was in pursuing things or uh, taking that risk. So I think we're really lucky as young people that we focus on what we want to work on, and yeah, we're quite fearless in that regard as well.
Yeah, second it 100%. It's very, very wise words. And yeah, we've all got such a huge sea of resources open to us that there's no excuse really if you're passionate about something and you really want to pursue it, that it's open to go for. Which I'm going to fast forward a few years now, Jordan, from those days, because I know you're working with a really exciting young company called Cano, and
Yeah.
I'm very keen to ask you that I've heard that you've got some quite high profile admirers in this space, and there's a certain Mark Zuckerberg and Kanye West as well. You're currently working with.
Yeah. Today, actually, yeah, one of the companies I'm working with is Cano Computing, and it's a company I've been aware of for a number of years now. Cano, for those who don't know, produced Raspberry Pi kits for teaching kids how to code. So they built their own operating system around it. They built their own virtual programming language, and so in my university this year, we sort of have a sort of gap semester where we have the opportunity to seek work placement or an internship. And straight away, I got in touch with the guys at Cano. I'd worked with them a couple of years before because I really feel like the vision and the ethos of Cano in promoting creativity and learning for young people and anyone really aligns with the passions that I have in promoting tech literacy. And so I started working with the guys in January, promoting all the amazing products that we work with. And pretty early on, I also got sucked into a secret project at the time with rapper Kanye West on a device that we were building called the Stem Player, which basically allows anyone to manipulate any song. It's this little sort of pebble, and you pretty much remix any song with the touch of a finger. So we launched that a couple of weeks ago in alignment with his album Donda. As you mentioned there, Mark Zuckerberg is another advocate. He and his daughter actually use the Kano products, and it's yeah, it's really fun. It's not just for promoting coding; it's also for art and pixel art and films and just learning how computers work in general. I think, as I said, whilst not everyone is going to be a programmer or wants to be a programmer, I think the skills you learn around problem solving and creativity, collaboration, and also just logic that you learn with learning how to program or learning computers can be applied to any industry and any job. And so, yeah, it's been really exciting there. So getting to work with Cano as well as that, I obviously run my own businesses here in Ireland. I've been able to sort of dip into a number of different sectors. Um, one of the apps I've been working on in the last year due to the COVID pandemic was a system called Table Pay, which basically facilitated restaurants having social distancing ordering by having users use their phone to order and pay, which has been really fun. Yeah, I'm dipping into a load of different things today, but Kano is definitely one of the ones that I definitely do enjoy.
Great. And in terms of this device that you've created alongside Kanye, this Pebble, exactly the tech behind it. So how important is it for the guys at Kano to understand that that tech should be protected and it's not going to be replicable or stolen from any rival? Is that something that's in the product development process from the start?
Yeah, definitely. It would probably be a slightly different from the sector I would be working with in Cano, but from what I can see on the outside, the importance of protecting this has been second to none. Particularly working with such a huge artist, and I'm sure Kanye has the same issue with his own music, and I've seen in the past in a couple of years with different leaks and things getting out like that, how that contains something. So from the get go, protection not only of the product's existence but also the actual uh, amazing innovative technology behind it has been protected from the get-go for sure.
Nice one. John, I could talk to you all day, but I'm going to have to start wrapping things up. So finally, I'm going to ask you to, again, take yourself back to as that 9-year-old you in your bedroom. If you could go back now and tell any of our viewers watching if there's any little snippets of advice that could help them, they're interested in taking a career in tech or coding, what little snippets of advice would you give to those people?
Oh, yeah. Good question. I think it's probably really cliche, and I do say it a lot to myself, and I do say it a lot to other people. But yeah, never give up is just one of the fundamentals. I think, as I mentioned, I'd had a lot of setbacks coming up as a young person doing this, whether it be issues with intellectual property. Many times there was failures with games and apps, or even the sort of situation with balancing my school and being a kid. But yeah, I persevered. I was motivated, luckily, and I wouldn't be in the situation I am today. On a practical level, and I sort of mentioned it before, but I really do think that as a generation of young people, we are so lucky to have just the internet and free resources available to us. I don't think there's anything that if someone wanted to learn more about, or if they wanted to engage in a new passion, that the facilities or the resources aren't there on the internet. So I guess take advantage of that as well. And yeah, also definitely from the get go, and it's something that obviously I learned the hard way, but protecting yourself and your creations. Many people and young people, because I remember what, like, even 10 years ago I was just so inundated with getting it out there, the games, and working on the creative side of the games themselves, that many times protecting them and looking at the consequences of what might happen if I didn't protect my intellectual property sort of came second. And now I obviously realize the importance of protecting myself from the get go and from the start, so that I can at least alleviate one problem down the road as well. But yeah, I definitely think never giving up, using the internet and the resources we have to our advantage, and also protecting yourself as well.
Fantastic, Jordan. I'm going to put some links in the comments below to Kano if anyone wants to know more about that, to Jordan's profiles, and to anyone who's interested in getting to know more about IP and protecting their intellectual property and their original ideas. Jordan, thanks a million for joining us, and best of luck with everything you do in the future. We'll be keeping a close eye on where you go next. But all the best from everyone at Ideas Powered.
Thanks so much.
Cheers, guys. Take care.